Welcome back to Global Village. I'm Buddy Cunanan. Tonight's topic is Spanish culture and heritage. And who best to talk about this topic with than the director of Instituto Cervantes Manila and this organization dedicated to the promotion of Spanish culture and heritage in the Philippines, Carlos Madrid. Carlos, welcome back to our second segment. Exciting topics, Spanish-Filipino relations, specifically culture and heritage. Now, let's talk about the Spanish language since you kind of touched on that earlier. And this is something that most Filipinos, I think, can relate to when I say that, we like to, we recognize we have this Spanish heritage with us, 350 plus years and common words, all that. But for us, really, I mean, the Spanish language is practically dead because you can hardly find anyone, let's say my generation and younger, who can speak it.
I think you're right. Probably since with the 1986, when it was the 12 units that they were removed. I also understand. I gathered. I don't know, I wasn't here, but that it was maybe the way it was taught at that time, it didn't make it very attractive. And when something is compulsory and it's hard to learn, it doesn't play to its advantage. I know that there is the debate has always been there also I speak with my Filipino friends and with journalists and intellectuals, and they always think of how could it be revived. There were some possibilities that they have been brought up to us, like what if it was the language of the public servants in the foreign affairs, for diplomats, for Filipino diplomats, which, thinking about it, it could make sense. Like, in fact, in Vietnam, it's somehow similar.
Yes.
And in Spain, I remember diplomats were required to have not only English, but also French for historic reasons. But in that sense, yeah, if whatever initiative the Philippines has or will have about the recuperation of Spanish or just the learning of Spanish, Instituto Cervantes is there. And with Instituto Cervantes, there's also the Ministry of Culture and Education of Spain that they're offering fantastic opportunities for assistant teachers to go from here to Spain to have conversation, to have training, to help training the students of English in Spanish universities. And there are grants programs offered by the ministry. There is educational advisor in the Embassy of Spain as well. So with Instituto and the different opportunities there, we are all about, when we are needed, we will be there.
Yes, because the decline happened over time. Because I remember my parents telling me in the old days, they were required to take 2 years of Spanish. Then it became 24 units. Then it became 12 units. And then eventually, as you said, in '86, they removed it as compulsory. So students were free to learn other languages. But now, do you see that there is a resurgence in the interest of Filipinos to learn Spanish? I mean, the mere fact that you're opening another office in Intramuros, aside from your Makati office, shows, is indicative of the desire, right?
Indeed, and I think maybe for different reasons. We are in a different time in this globalized economy, and then with the call centers, for example, just that industry alone. I know that because they come to us like, how can they hire Spanish-speaking agents? And the demand is there. The salary increases spectacularly when they have Spanish language. Spanish is the second international language. So for economic reasons, any professional who is able to communicate, to work in Spanish, he has a tremendous advantage. Even for local investors and for local decision makers, if you think that the economies I think the future of Spanish, we know it is in the Americas.
Absolutely.
And it's a universal language. It's not only Europe, Africa, and with the Philippines, but the Americas has the biggest number of speakers, and the economies are very diverse and very dynamic. We all know that Southeast Asia is going to be the heart of the economic
development. Next growth. This is the growth area in the 21st century.
The Philippines, and again, I'm quoting my Filipino friends on this. The Philippines could be the gateway for these economies and these investors that they're seeking closer ties with through ASEAN or through the different countries to invest in Southeast Asia. Having Spanish, it will certainly help. It's a fact that it simplifies those processes.
Carlos, I've interviewed several Latin American, South American ambassadors here, and they all say that Asia is on their radar. I've talked to Mexico, Argentina, Panama,
Right.
and they're all saying that their governments, although the distance is there,
Right.
but they're focused on Asia. They recognize the potential, and this dovetails with what you're saying about employment opportunities for people who know how to speak Spanish.
Now, we're going back to what happened in 1996 is that there was a whole generation of Spanish teachers, of teachers of Spanish, Filipino teachers of Spanish, that they got out of employment. And now we have a lack of teachers. So the demand is there, it keeps on growing, but there are not enough teachers.
Where is the demand coming from, Carlos?
All sectors, different ages, young professionals, fresh graduates, students from different fields, from nursing to history, anthropology, people that they're just learning Spanish in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, and there's not a single profile.
Yes.
So because it's really, in fact, remember we were mentioning before about the network of institutos all over,
Yes.
all over the world. Instituto ranks number 2 in terms of classes of Spanish.
When you say number 2 in terms of the
the
number of classes?
Yeah, we
or-
use a measurement that is a student per, like hours per student. We are ranking number 2 in the globe. So it's really intense. We are constantly
Wow,
giving
very good.
classes. Yeah, it's
and
about
the quality is top notch. I mean,
Yeah,
you
it's
guys
top-
hold yourself to
it's top.
the highest standard possible.
I cannot emphasize it enough. The team of our faculty, it's amazing. They have years, decades of experience. They have been specially trained for this. It's a job that they love. And it's, actually, of course, I'm biased because I'm the director, but in all fairness, they're amazing. And again, Instituto Cervantes is a non-for-profit organization of the Spanish government. So our only goal is to ensure that the Spanish that is learned, and whoever wants to take advantage of our services in terms of training teachers, training students, getting accreditation, the diploma of the Ministry of Education is issued by handled here by Instituto Cervantes.
Yes.
There's also the distance learning through the AVE, the Aula Virtual de Español. Whoever wants to take the exam whoever is entitled for Spanish citizenship, it has to undertake a test to know that they're familiar with the Spanish Constitution, the culture, sociology, and that exam is undertaken
Spanish.
by Instituto Cervantes also.
Of course, in
Yeah.
Spanish and in Espanol. And Filipinos, what a pity, because the linguistic similarity between Tagalog/Filipino and Spanish, I mean, it's undeniable. I don't know how many thousand words we have in common. I mean, would you
Depending-
yeah.
Yeah, in Tagalog, 8 to 10,000, depending how many
Imagine
number,
that.
because there are also words that they were used in Tagalog before, but they're
Yes.
no longer used, and they come from
Yes.
Spanish. In Bisaya, so many. In fact, one of the common denominators of the different languages of the Philippines is that there is a common Spanish background in the vocabulary.
That's true.
So
That's
it's
true.
For national
Yes.
purposes.
That's
it's,
true. Huh?
and this is something that, again, there is a number of Filipino intellectuals that they help me understand this. I don't know if you know of Fernando Cialcita, an anthropologist.
Yes, of course. I know him. Yes, from Ateneo.
Sí, he has
Yes.
this very interesting book, Authentic Though Not Exotic, about the Filipino identity, and I learn a lot. From him. Of course, Nick Joaquin and so many others. But yeah, it's the opportunity, the advantages of learning Spanish is there. Many people is taking advantage of it already.
Yes, but interesting that you mentioned it, and it didn't occur to me until you mentioned it, that some of the common words that link all the dialects in the Philippines are Spanish words.
Yes.
Yes, that's true.
And
That's true.
also,
Interesting.
even in architecture, there's a common denominator that has to do with the Hispanic heritage, because it came from Spain with the filter of the Americas, and also even with the gastronomy. There's certain elements that they are common across the Philippines, and those that are common have to do with the Hispanic heritage. That's why in the Philippines,
Very
and I have seen it when we mention about Hispanic heritage, I want to emphasize we know it's not us, it's Filipino heritage, and we are very respectful on the way. I mean, I admire how much interest it raised among Filipinos, and we know it's perceived as a national heritage.
Yes.
So when we can contribute to have it promoted or restored, We do. Always thinking that we are, always keeping in mind that for us is in terms of cultural dialogue, that we are learning from our host as much as we are giving. Our host in the Philippines is the Filipino people,
Yes.
the Filipino state. And when we have a dialogue with artists, intellectuals, writers, performers, movie makers, we want our Spanish guests to take from them as much as they are exchanging.
Very good. Carlos, a few minutes to close our second segment. Let's talk about what you have to offer courses in Spanish. I mean, tell us a bit about the mix that you have. I understand you have something for everyone. Working students, full-time students. What do you have in IC?
Well, if you go to Instituto, to Instituto Cervantes, what we will have is we will conduct a test, an interview with one of the teachers to determine what level of Spanish you really need. If it's we distribute, it's called the European Common Framework of Reference. All European languages follow the same standard. So, and we define it by A1,
Okay.
A2, B1, B2. So when we accredit the diploma, and our diploma is internationally recognized, it means that if you have an A1, no matter where you go, they're going to know, okay, you can manage to know up to this level or not as much as this level. Once we determine the course of Spanish, the level of Spanish that you belong, then we have the basic classes. It's very flexible. We can have intense courses. Every course is 30 hours.
Okay.
Then we have special courses.
Okay.
They are catered to the needs of our counterpart. If there is
Yes.
a company that they need, I remember with
Technical terms and that
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly. For medical, I remember the shipping. For shipping,
Yes.
they needed vocabulary that has to do with shipping trade. I cannot imagine how.
So it's really flexible. You have
Certainly.
classes for all age groups as well, young, intermediate, advanced, all that.
Yes,
all skill
based
levels.
on the level of proficiency.
Very good. Carlos, we have pause for a break. When we come back, we'll talk about all the exciting activities you guys have, your regular activities and projects, as well as the things planned for this year that are up and coming and new. Thank you very much. Guys, more of Spanish culture and heritage when Global Village returns.
Here for the 11th time, we celebrate with the rest of the world the International Book Day. The Embassy of Spain and Instituto Cervantes bring back the Día Internacional del Libro to the streets of Metro Manila.
Araw ng Aklat or Dia del Libro, call it what you want, but it expresses our passion, our love for books.